Have you ever faced a situation where buttons in your app just don't have titles? It can be incredibly frustrating, especially when you're trying to run UI tests. If this sounds familiar, you're in the right place. Today, we're going to tackle how to find buttons without titles in Xcode. I totally understand your concern. It's annoying when you have buttons that only display images and no text. You're definitely not alone in this struggle. Many developers encounter similar issues while testing their user interfaces. Here's the specific question we're addressing today. One user asked, "How can I access buttons during a UI test if they only show images and have no titles?" They mentioned that the command window.buttons.click doesn't work because the button lacks a title. Sound familiar? Let's dive in and find a solution. So why does this happen? When buttons only display images, it can be tricky for the UI testing framework to identify them. This often leads to challenges in automating tests effectively. But don't worry, we have solutions. And stick around. I've got a fantastic tip at the end that will make your UI testing even smoother. You won't want to miss it. To access buttons that only display images during a UI test, the user should start by identifying the button using its accessibility identifier. This is a unique string that can be assigned to UI elements. Next, the user can access the button in their UI test by using the accessibility identifier. This allows them to interact with the button even if it has no title. If the user cannot modify the code to add an accessibility identifier, they can also use the button's image name to locate it. This is done by accessing the button through its image. Finally, the user should ensure that their UI tests are running in a suitable environment where the images are loaded correctly. This helps avoid any issues during testing. Fun fact, did you know that the first graphical user interfaces were created in the 1970s? We've come a long way since then, but sometimes the basics can still trip us up. Now, let's look at the answers provided by other users. An alternative solution suggests using the accessibility label to find buttons without titles. First, set the accessibility label for your button, like this: delete button set accessibility label delete. Then you can access the button normally with untitled window.buttons delete click. Here's that fantastic tip I promised. Always assign accessibility identifiers to your UI elements. This simple practice can save you a lot of time and headaches in the long run. And there you have it. Now you know how to find buttons without titles in your UI tests. Remember, accessibility identifiers are your best friend. If you found this video helpful, please subscribe for more tips and stay tuned for our next video.